According to the Department of Defense, the U.S. military is struggling to meet its recruiting goals in every branch except the Marine Corps and Space Force.
Wait a second. The Space Force? (2019). They set recruiting goals in 4 years? Not even 4 years, like 3 years. What was the recruiting goals? 4,000 people? But just a fraction make into a limited number. With 700 new enlisted in Guardians fiscal year 2024. Yeah, you met your goals because it was low. Hi, Ask an RDC here. And being an RDC was hard. Or was it? There were some things that I really wanted to talk about when it came to being an RDC. You know, there's like what the training is involved in detail. But it was kind of hard to tell and navigate what things I could and couldn't talk about. I knew for sure the things I could talk about, but there was some gray areas. But Business Insider decided they want to make a video, so we're going to go into that. So this isn't going to be a react video or anything like that. I'm only going to show small segments of it and then dive into like some of the things they're talking about where it's like it's hard to explain what they're doing, and it makes it look like it's intense, or it makes it look like they're kind of stupid. So I'm going to be grabbing the clips that I would like to talk about, things I always wanted to talk about that I wasn't sure if I could, and then also some of the things that just need a little bit more explaining. If you want to see the full video, I'm going to leave it in the description below, but let's go ahead and get started.
Drill sergeants aren't cussing at soldiers anymore. If you got to use that language to get somebody to do something, you are not relevant in our army anymore.
So I agree and I disagree with that. There was actually a time when I first got to boot camp as a RDC. I was going through a brutal rope, and there was a part where we had to observe the commissioning ceremony for a division, and there was these posters up everywhere that said something about like a real leader doesn't curse or something like that. And he cursed up a storm, and as he walked out, he tore it down. They're getting rid of that program. It seems like a similar program that they're talking about here. But I think there's a difference between those two things, right? There is saying you are someone who curses and calling someone a curse word. So let's say French fry is a curse word. So if I say, what the French fry is wrong with you, or if I call you, hey, you're a French fry, those are two different things, right? So don't call people French fries, I guess.
While the first 3 weeks of C School focus on curriculum, the second phase of training gives them the experience of working with actual recruits.
Right, so for us, it was, they're talking about the academic phase and then the shadow phase. For us, when I went through, I think it was 6 weeks of curriculum and then 7 weeks of shadow phase for a total of 13 weeks. And that's assuming that you finished your PQS and that you did everything you need to do and like observed everything, you got signatures on all your paperwork, and you're good to go. They do things a little differently depending. I mean, it's always changing. Now it's 3 weeks, and then, you know, maybe they're doing a full push with an RDC C school, because I know they were doing that as I was leaving. They made it where you had RDC C school instructors doing a push, and then they brought their blue lips with them, and they had to shadow the RDC C school instructors. So obviously things change. It's always going to change, but the standard's still going to be there. You still have to be a basically trained RDC. You're not really going to get trusted as soon as you put on that red rope, that's for sure. So, right, you're talking about the red card, the yellow card, the blue card, the orange card. It all changes. Like, as you can see, point towards it. This is harder than it looks. Oh my gosh. That you can see it right there. What my little guy's holding up there. It's the IT card, right? So what it has is a list of exercises that you can do, and then how many of it you can do, or the time frame of what you're supposed to do it for, and then a little bit of the instruction on the back. Every time the instruction changes, they get a new color card, and that's all what it is. And so you're supposed to have it in hand. That's why you always see them like holding their hand and doing knife hand as they're like, you're supposed to have it out and visible to you and to everyone else to show that you're following the instructions. So you can't just make up exercises. And that's all really they are. They're just exercises. And so, yeah, everything you do as an RDC for recruits, not only do you go through boot camp to become enlisted, but when you go be an RDC to do it, you have to pass everything that you expect the recruits to pass. 1, to teach you what the checkpoints are, and 2, to show, you know, this is what you're going to be getting. So you're kind of taught and spoken to like a recruit in a sense. You're not brought down to a certain level. You're just held to the same standard that you should be holding the recruits to. So that's why you see them yelling and stuff like that. And, you know, like they said, it's not real yelling. It's never real. It never should be. There was twice where I did actually get like emotionally involved, where I was actually upset, and I felt it and I walked away, because that's just a great way to lose your rope. But yeah, they when you go through RDCC school, it's like a little boot camp. They're always checking in on you. They always want you to know where you go. You have to follow the traffic patterns. They want you to do it so that when you teach the recruits, you know what's up. And yeah, when you yell and all stuff like that, it's not real. It's not real anger. It's just the way to increase the intensity without actually putting anyone's life at risk. It's very similar to just a drill or a training. You just make it as real as possible without placing life in danger, and just getting people ready for the real thing. That's all it is. But yeah, they run you through it, and they always tell you whenever you're doing PT or whenever you're doing this stuff, you should be able to do it with them, the card. And I used to do the card with my recruits all the time who are now sailors, and just to show that it is possible. And that's all it is, just motivation, really. It's just you're just getting a workout, but while you're physically getting drained and you're repeating what character flaw or what mistake they made, it kind of drills in a little more, and then the workout becomes a little bit more emotional for the recruit sometimes. But yeah, they tell you just to keep it a dead stare, like a blank stare on your face. Like, it's okay to struggle, but you can't show them that you're struggling. You can't be like crying and out of breath. Like, it's fine to be out of breath, but you can't be like crying and like suffrage on your face, like, oh, like you're going, So there's some of these guys that don't look that great. You want to have like a 1,000-yard stare. And yeah, that's the whole idea of it all. And yeah, you do have to pass this as a class before you can continue on to the next phase. I'm sure whatever changes there are, they're still going to require you to pass it. So you have to be able to complete all the exercises without failing. And 100% true, if you can't do the exercises, then how are you going to make the recruits do it? If you can't meet the standard, how are you going to enforce that standard? And that is a pass-fail evolution for sure.
Help recruits deal with the intensity. The Navy instituted an initiative known as Warrior Toughness.
Warrior Toughness. Everyone calls it the breathing exercises, and we're getting everyone to be weak. Look, Warrior Toughness was designed by the SEALs, by special operators of the military. Those are the hardcore dudes going out that stuff they make movies about. Everyone talks about the SEALs, special operators, SWIC. These are things they do in the actual wartime, and like when they're doing those crazy missions. They came up with this not as a way to make things soft. What it is just a way for you to process the stress and the anxiety and so that you can go on and keep on operating. So if you want to say people are soft, that's fine. But the difference is, if you can go and push the people through these things and then tell them to do some breathing exercises or some mind focusing exercises, and they finish and you have a better successful rate instead of a high attrition rate, then why are you knocking it? Personally, I don't use it. But I do use the method. I just don't use the breathing exercises. It's real stuff. Master Chief Drum talked to me. I thought it was silly too. And then he pulled me aside and just like broke it down. And now I'm a huge believer in it. If the breathing exercises don't work, the whole mind-body connection thing, and then just you figure out how to deal with that stress and alleviate it so you can go back to focusing, going back to an operator mindset is great. Some people are just so new at life, and we all were when we were 17, 18, 19, 20. We haven't had real life stressors or anything for us to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. So yes, someone who is much older, who's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, will be able to handle this level of stress that is given at boot camp much easier. But some of these people have never been. They're kids. We were all kids when we went through boot camp. So this is the first real life stressor we've had where we're by ourselves. And you have to learn to deal with it in a healthy way so that you can move on and it doesn't bring you down or upset you, and you can stay focused. And hey, it gets the mission done, and more people are in the Navy, so I'm fine with it. Oh, this is the PT part. So you had to get a PT signature. It was the worst because before I got there, like, it had changed. Thank goodness it changed right before I got there. There was like a literal script that you had to learn, where it was like you have to say specific words. Like, for example, you had to be like, good morning. In this case, it'd be RDC C school. You can say your division number, right? So, good morning, RDC C school. Your first exercise will be chest press, overhead press. It will go as such. 1, 2, 3, 1. Come to the ready and exercise. And if you said any one of those words wrong off the script, fail. It was, and most people don't really get in front of a group. It's a little easier to get in front of a group of people that are, not the same pay grade as you. For example, I'm a chief. I get a bunch in front of E3, E2, E1s, E4, E5, whatever. They're all lower pay grade than me. I don't feel too stressed. I still feel a little bit of stress because I have a little bit about public speaking, even still now. But I don't feel too bad. But when you're amongst your peers, they're equals, so when you're doing this training, and not only you being judged by the red ropes while you're trying to get your red rope, and you have your other peers that know that they're trying to struggle and get it too, and they're going to be watching you as well to see if you can do it. You sometimes freeze up. It could be a little nerve-wracking. It's weird. And at the same time, when you're out there, the best thing you can do is like so when you're up there, someone else is up there trying to get their PT signature, right? And trying to lead the training. And then you're in the crowd. The best thing you can do is just sound off loud and proud. And come to the ready, always ready. You know, just getting into it. You got to say it motivated, because you're going to do the same thing to the recruits if they don't get very loud. And you're like, I can't hear you. Say it again, you know? So the best thing you can do is motivate them and support them by doing that.
RDC students take the Navy physical fitness assessment 3 separate times during C School.
So they take it 3 separate times because it's just like boot camp. You take it 3 times. You do the baseline, and then you do your RDC assessment, or your mid-phase assessment, and then you do the one that's your first official PFA or your last PFA of boot camp. And it's the same thing here. You got to pass a PFA to get into RDC C school, unless something changed here, but that's how it was for me. We had to pass one just to start the school itself. And then you do one halfway through, and then you do one at the end. And if you can't pass one in the beginning, you're not going to start, and you get to just keep training and wait another week and try again. So you come ready. And I do remember that I think they told us they wanted us to run at an alpha pace. So if you're female, alpha female, male, alpha male, which is a little bit faster, you have to at least pass at that. So I think it was like a mile and a half and 12:15, and then like 50 push-ups and 60 sit-ups or something like that. It's the planks now. But yeah, I think they told us, encouraged us to, but I don't think that was the actual cutoff. I think that it was just an encouragement thing, because I know someone didn't get the alpha pace, but they did pass for the age group and they let them graduate. So I think that was just something they told us. I don't know what the actual rules are, because I was never an RDC C school instructor. But yeah, they just have you pass the baseline, the PFA. I mean, you had to pass the PFA.
Come to the ready. Exercise.
Future instructors are also tested on how well they can teach PT.
Oh, here it comes. I know so many people that froze for this.
To the rear.
Yeah, it's the little things that get you, and then sometimes you just get so focused up, then you just die in the inside, and you freeze. Crickets play.
Are you prepared for this?
No. I feel for her,
Are you prepared? Yes or no?
because this was me.
Demonstrate.
I have yes, sir.
Fall in. Someone else step up.
Yep, that was me one time.
During boot camp, RDCs are tasked with making sure the recruits' living quarters are clean and organized.
Yeah, the lids have to be down on the washers.
Okay.
Following a strict template of where every item should be and how it should look.
So this is called walking your house, is what we call it, and it's being able to like meet all the checkpoints. You know, how are things stowed? Are they placed properly? Are they set properly? So some things they had to be set a certain way, and other things they just say they had to be uniform. So you do little things like, if you look at this water bottle here, it doesn't say the water bottles, at least when I was going through, it doesn't say that they had to look like that. They had to be uniform, so they're all facing the same way. They're probably all empty, because then they're all the same, because if one has more water in it than the other, then they're not stowed the same. So this is called walking your house, and they're testing them on it. They had to go through it with me too. But yeah, it's good knowledge to have as an RDC. You walk the house. I used to walk my house like 10 times a day. You're just trying to win. And then if you find the hits, I don't correct them myself. I'd go get a recruit and say, hey, you missed this, and then so they can be self-sufficient. I know some RDCs that would fix their own, but I don't do that. You can get gold and win without doing the recruit's job. It's important that they learn attention to detail. As a blue rope, yeah, you gotta learn them yourselves, but as an RDC, you instill that into them for them to be self-sufficient. You're not gonna be there to hold their hand in the fleet. They gotta learn.
That elbow is tight. Pretty much punch yourself in the shoulder. Like this.
Starting in week 4 of C School, students are paired with an active RDC and their recruits for what's known as the shadow phase.
So unless they were doing this for, the recording or something like that, or this thing that there's video they're making on, I would never, ever let a blue rope teach my recruits. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's just, I couldn't, because they might train something that mostly they shouldn't. It's called shadow phase for a reason. You are seen, not heard. I was never assigned a blue rope. I was assigned a blue rope once, but I wasn't the lead RDC then, so I didn't have much say in it. But I'm not really a fan of blue ropes teaching without some sort of supervision, because they might teach something that is wrong because they're just not as comfortable with it. Hopefully they wouldn't. Hopefully they would just follow the book. And then you go to an inspection, and then they do it, and then you take the hit and you're like, what's going on, And what if they teach it to something that's 50% or more of the division? That's called training deficiency, and that's against your permanent record as an RDC. So not really a huge fan of what's going on here.
Sometimes you will think it's not important to fold the shirt this way, but it is. If you don't secure valves a certain way, you can cause overpressurization and the piping can burst. So you have to know that the attention detail, by following the instruction in place, your attention detail is to shut each valve in sequence.
So she makes a very valid point, and I've been saying this for years. It really isn't important how you fold your shirt. There's nothing to what you're doing when it comes to folding and stowing your stuff and constantly making sure that they are folded and stowed properly, that they haven't shifted, that you put it back the way it is, because it's attention to detail. If I can't trust you to fold and stow a t-shirt and some skivvies, how am I going to trust you to shoot a gun, shoot a missile, properly align? She's talking about valves, properly alignment, but she is dead serious. If you do it wrong, you could explode systems and cause either death, or in the middle of the ocean, you just have no potable water. And what are you gonna do? No water. You can only go like a few days without water. So it is extremely important. And 100%, even something as simple as valves could be extremely important. I mean, whether or not you have fire water. So yeah, that's all it is. It's just whether or not you can follow instructions. So if we start something that's, without consequence, a t-shirt. It's one of the things you had to meet all the same checkpoints that your division is required to meet. So you had to relearn drill. You had to know how to do drill from every single person's position. So it means that tape goes over and over and over again as you do it as a RPOC, and then as you do it as an AROC, and then as you do it as a stick, and then as you do it as a road guard. You just go over and over again so that you know the checkpoint, so that when you teach it, it's easy. And then you run through it itself. You run through the drill tape, and you get checked on it, and you have to pass all forms of it. So it's you're meeting that standard so you can teach the standard. Yeah, the size of the class really changes whenever you're going through these. It could be 4 people, or it could be 20 people. I think I graduate with like 14 people or so, and then the class after us graduate with 4, and the class after that, it just changes. It might be just 1 who graduates, especially now with the new way they're doing things. It just depends of whether or not people have to get remediated. So you might go back a week, so you have more time because you failed to meet a standard or finish a PQS or get a signature for something, and then you go back to it. It's all right. I know plenty of people that were great RDCs that ended up, or the school was 13 weeks, and I graduated on time with most of my classmates. But they ended up having to get sent back twice. So they ended up graduating in like 15 or 16 weeks, but they ended up being like excellent RDCs. It's all right. Sometimes it just takes a little longer to learn some of these things, especially in the intense the environment is.
It is very common for RDCs coming out of here to promote soon after they leave or while they're here.
We have a colloquialism.
So they talk about the fact of whether or not you're going to promote soon afterwards or while you're here, right? So they're talking about making chief. If they're not, they're just talking about normal advancement. There's a lot of hard charging second classes that go there. So yeah, there's a lot of people that make first class, and it's a very, very large command that is only made of second classes and up. So yeah, you're gonna get a lot of promotions. They always say they have the most, but it's because they have so many people that are just on the cusp of making that next pay grade. In general, a lot of people make chief there as well, but I didn't make chief there. I made chief afterwards. But I've always been told that too, is if you go there to make chief, that you'll make it when you leave, kind of a thing. I don't know how true that is in a statistic. I know it was true for me, but I went there as a second class, like I said. So a lot of people go there as first classes to try to make chief, is what I hear. Just put on chief like a last ditch effort. But in reality, you should go if you want to. You should go if you feel like you want to actually give back and make that purpose. You should go if you want to be the one that thinks they would succeed there and do really well and have something to give back. And that's all I have for you guys here, just little snippets of each fun that goes on. Like I said, if you want to watch the full video without me talking over it, the link in the description below will go directly to the Business Insider video, and I'll let you know it. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Hooyah Navy.